Hariः Om. We pray the Almighty for a fulfilling learning experience. Shankarupena machittam pankikritamabhodhyaya kinkariyasya samaya Shankaracharyamashreye Shastram Shariramimansa Devastu Parameshwarah Acharyah Shankaracharyah Santu me Janma Janmani Dhyanamoolam Guror Murtihi Pujamulam Guroh Padam Mantramulam Guror Vakyam Mokshamulam Guroh Kripa. Welcome to everyone for the Dasashloki class by Swami Sachidananda Saraswati Ji. Our reverence and pranams to the Swamiji for giving us the insight into the Dasashloki. So Swamiji, after reciting the first 3 slokas of the lesson, which we learnt in the previous week, he started this week's discourse. Continuing on the topic of sadhana chatushtayam, the 4 important sadhanas for attaining moksha, which was discussed in the last class, a quick recap. Sadhana and sadhya. Sadhana is the means or the way or the practice. Sadhya is the goal. The goal is here self-realization or moksha or liberation. In order to reach the goal, the sadhya, we need the means, these sadhanas. That is what is this sadhana chatushtaya. The 4-fold instruments or means to attain our goal of Jivan Mukti, attain our goal of liberation or moksha. In Vedanta, sadhya goal is moksha, and the sadhanas or means are 4-fold in nature. This can also be looked upon as 4 basic qualifications in order to take us further on the path of Vedanta. As you see here on the slide, these are 4. The first one is Viveka, second one is Vairagya or Viraga, the third one is Sama etc. Shatka Sampatti, Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti, and the fourth one is Mumukshutva. So we had an idea about these in the previous class, especially Viveka, Vairagya and Mumukshutva. Today we will be looking at the Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti. A recap of Viveka, it is the ability to differentiate between the real and the unreal, or the temporary from the permanent. Vairagya, or also called Viraga, is the absence of Raga. Raga is attachment or passion or obsession. Absence of that is Viraga or Vairagya. And Mumukshutvam is the intense yearning or longing for liberation, for freedom. And the one which we need to analyze today and understand in detail is the Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti. This has 6 sub-steps or consists of 6 subtopics. Let us discuss these 6 sadhanas in this path in a little detail. Shama, it is the mastery of one's own mind or control of one's own mind. Mastery over the mind is mastery over one's ways of thinking. Mind has the notorious habit of wandering everywhere, from place to place, hither to thither. The ability of us to keep the mind focused on a particular task for a good length of time is called the mastery, and that here is referred to as Shama in Vedanta. By constant practice, we can bring this mind to a focus. Let's take an example. While one is walking a dog in the park, if the dog is pulling the master in its own direction and the owner is struggling to hold on to the dog, it represents our slavery to the mind. By practice, if the owner trains the dog and it just follows the master without any pull on the leash, then that is akin to mastery over the mind. Here, the dog is the mind and we are the owner. And the person has to control the mind and not the mind controlling the person. That is Sama. Now, the second of the 6 steps here, Sadhana Shatka Sampatti, the second one is Dhamma. This means control over our Jnanendriyas or sense organs. We many a time have no control on our 5 sense organs. Not able to control the tongue, control the ear, not able to control what we hear, see, touch. Sometimes we do all forbidden things or time-wasting things or useless objects and things being perceived by the Jnanendriyas. Adolescent behavior is a typical example of the lack of control of the sense organs. As mature adults, by now we must have mastered over the art of controlling the sense organs. If not, we have to develop this. Remember, the man is endowed with 5 sense organs and each one of them is very powerful and is capable of causing turmoil and downfall. There is a beautiful verse from Shankaracharya and Viveka Chodamani describing the power of the 5 sense organs, which we will see in the section on additional insight. Now, the third one is Uparama, sometimes referred to as Uparati. Uparama is withdrawal. Withdrawal from what? Withdrawing the mind from the outward worldly things and taking it inward. The mind so withdrawn is used to go inward. Usually, the general tendency of the mind is to go seek things outward through the Indriyas. But in spiritual practice, we need to get the mind focused inward, and that is Uparama. Taking an example, Abhimanyu in the Kurukshetra war only knew how to enter into the Padma Vyuha, but he does not know the exit path. Likewise, we always know how to get into the world with the help of the Indriyas. We find it difficult to withdraw the mind from the outside world and focus it inward. This practice is Uparama. We know how to go deep into the world, but we have little experience how to withdraw the mind from the outside world and move it inward. All the present day stress is because of the inability to come out from the outside world and go inward. Then the fourth one is Titiksha or forbearance, the ability to withstand any kind of situation or insult or outcome. Again, for all these 6 attributes, Samadhi Shatka Sampatti, we will try to look at the Viveka Chodamani slokas as an additional insight at the end. Titiksha is glad acceptance without complaining. For example, we have the COVID-19 situation. We have to have the glad acceptance of the lockdown, the new restrictions, etc. And this is called the forbearance, or in Telugu it is called Vorpu, Sahanam. Sahanam Sarva Dukkhanam Apratikara Purvakam. We will look into that in a little detail later. Then the 5th one is the faith. What is faith? Faith is firm, unflinching belief. This is called the Shraddha. There are 4 types of Shraddha in Vedanta practice and all are important. First of all, we must have faith in the higher energy or power called the Almighty. Second, the faith in the scriptures and the teachings of the scriptures, which are of course the proclamations of the rishis. And the third one is faith in the Guru Vakya or the instructions or Upadesha given by the Guruji. And finally, most neglected faith is faith in our own self, in our own ability. We cannot undertake the sadhana without our inner faith on our own self. One can undertake these sadhanas and go towards the goal of moksha only with the faith. The faith in our own self is also called as Atma Bala. And finally, of the 6 important sadhanas in Shama etc. is the Samadhana. Samadhana means calmness of mind, ability to stay equanimous. Again, we will discuss them in a little detail in the additional insight. So we have Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi Shakka Sampatti and the Mumukshutvam, which is intense yearning or longing for liberation or freedom. We have now understood the fundamental qualifications or requirements or sadhanas to go in the journey of liberation or Atmajnana. Swamiji now continues with the discussion on the 3rd slokam of Dasashloki. We have seen the first 2 lines in detail in the earlier class. Again, just as a recap, in the Vyavaharika world, we play several roles as mother, father, student, teacher, employer, banker, etc. These are at the transactional level. We need to understand these are mere roles. In absoluteness, we are not the roles. We are only playing the roles. For a jnani, in that state of enlightenment, there is no dependence on Deva, Veda, Loka, Yajna, Tirtha, etc. When he is in the pursuit of self-realization. These are, of course, very bold proclamations by Shankaracharya. As a jnani, he is telling this. Na mata, na pita, na deva, na loka, na yajna, na tirtha, na veda. All these things. Today, because of COVID, we are not allowed to go outward. We feel how restless we are. We are very restless because of the restrictions of our movements. That is in the loka. Loka here means not only the higher and lower worlds, but in this very loka itself. In absoluteness, none of the above are any matter of contention or any use, or is there any dependence on them for Atmajnana. The 3rd line of the slokam is Sushuptau Nirastati Sunyatmakatvat, meaning Sushupti is the deep sleep state. We all know we have the 3 states, the Jagrat, Swapna and the Sushupti. These 3 states of universal experience are familiar to all of us. We pay great attention to the first 2 states and pay least attention to the 3rd state, the Sushupti. In Vedanta, the Sushupti state assumes utmost importance. In the waking state, all the objects are cognizable and we know how to go deep into the world, but we have little experience how to withdraw from them and take the mind inward. In all the 3 states, we are the Sakshi or the witness. The witness of the Jagrat or the waking world, the witness of the dream world, and the witness of the deep sleep world or the happy sleep feeling also. In Sushupti, in the absence of objects, world, people, thoughts and experiences, we continue to be the witness or the Sakshi. Even the blankness is witnessed by you. Here you means the Atma, witness of that nothingness, the Sunya. In Vedanta, everything is described as Sunya, but the witness or the Sakshi Atma is present. This is the subtle difference between Buddhism and Advaita Vedanta. In Buddhism, there is no witness either. Everything is void or Sunya. Here, the witness is there for the Sunya also. Ati Sunyatma Katvat. In that state of complete void, Atisunyatmakatvat, beyond the state of complete void, there is a person who is witnessing the complete void also, the Sunya also. How do we know that? We know that in Sushupti. We are present as the witness in Sushupti. Nirastaha means after negating all these things, after negating the presence of objects, people, experiences, thoughts, everything, we know in Sushupti none of these things are there, but we experience the Sunya also as a witness. That is the Atman. In that deep sleep state, there is no father, no mother, no deva, no loka, no yajna, no tirtham, etc. All the objects, people, thoughts are null and void. And in that voidness or sunyatmakatvat, there is the atisunyatmakatvat, which is beyond the void. What is that? That is the subject. That is the sakshi. That is the witness. That is the Atman. What is the nature of that Atman? Tat ekaha kevalaha avasistaha sevaha. Ekam, the one, kevalaha, the one and only one, without a second. Avasistaha, the one remains after negating all these things. Sevaha, auspiciousness or consciousness. Tat, that, aham, I am. Tadaham, I am that. I am what? I am that witness, Sakshi, who is witnessing even the Sunya, Atisunyatmakatvat. Because of that Atisunyatmakatvat, because of the ability of the Sakshi to witness all that void when everything is negated, that one, without a second, the one that is remaining after negating all these things, that auspiciousness, that consciousness, I am, tadaham, tadeko vasishtaha siva kevaloham. We are that witness of the voidness, the Atma Chaitanya. We are beyond all these subjective experiences and also the state of negating all the subjective experiences. And that is the witness principle. Now, how does this principle, this understanding, help us in our practical life? So Vedanta must be practically useful. What is that? We have several experiences of frustrations, dejection, despair, depression in our life. But if we just know that we are not this depression or despair, etc., but we are the witness standing away, standing separate from these experiences, then it immediately relieves us and gives us freedom from all such situations. This means it makes us see life and enjoy it as it is, in all its variety, from a distance, not merging with the situations, experiences and objects and emotions. We will be able to handle those emotions and extremes when we stand separate as a subject from this objective world. We must be aware of this. This is the Sat Chit Ananda, the ever-existing conscious principle, the absolute bliss, ever present in the waking, dreaming and the deep sleep state. This is my native nature as a witness, and this is ever permanent in all the three states, even in the deep sleep Sushupti state. Great insights can be learned by the analysis and study of the Sushupti. All the things in the world we hang on and hold on to as ours and mine, we let go of all these things, the ahankara and the mamakara. Everything is left for those 8 hours where we are in deep sleep. These are not ours then, but then we are separate witnesses of all these things. We have given up everything without our knowledge in the deep sleep state. This is real giving up, not physically abandoning anything. This is a cognitive giving up in the mind of all those mentioned in the sloka. Mata, Pita, Deva, Loka, Yajna, Veda, Tirtham, etc. giving away all our mamakara and ahankara as in the deep sleep state, is the way to nirvana. We always think we need objects, people, experiences to make us happy. But in deep sleep, we are devoid of these things, but feel very happy. How do we know that we are very happy? Ask anyone who has slept well for 8 hours. Everyone says that the sleep is really happy, and nobody wants to be woken up from the deep sleep. We don't want to wake up in the morning because we are in touch with our real nature, the Atmananda in the deep sleep state, and we are enjoying the bliss. Why this experience of anger or not wanting to wake up? Because we are being disturbed from our blissful state. Vedanta says, if we can experience this bliss even in the waking world without sleeping, without giving up any objects or people or experiences physically, but cognitively giving them up, that is nirvana. That is Atmananda. In deep sleep, mind is withdrawn completely from all the objects without any physical giving up. That is what we are trying to achieve in the Jagrat state also. In the wakeful state, if we let go this ahamkara and mamakara and practice the art of withdrawing the mind from the outside world of objects and turning it inward from the Vishayas, we withdraw and put it inward into the Atmajnana, then this absolute bliss is ready to be claimed. This is our true inner treasure, to be just claimed. It is waiting to be claimed. Instantaneously it can be recognized. This is the Ananda. This Ananda is Ananta, infinite. It is waiting for us to claim ourselves this Ananda, even in the waking world too. Sushuptau, in that state of deep sleep, when everything is negated, Atisunyatmakatvam. You are present as the conscious witness absolute, the Atman, beyond the state of complete void. This is our real nature, and that absolute witness I am. I can claim my own real empire of happiness. The Mahatmas have claimed this and conquered the inner kingdom, unlike the kings and emperors who might have won external kingdom. So, after this, what we are? We are that Tat Eko Avasistaha Sivaha Kevalaha Aham. I am that one without a second, remaining after everything is negated, as though in the deep sleep state, being as a witness, that Sivaha, that auspiciousness, that consciousness is what I am. With this, Swamiji has concluded today's lesson. We will be looking at the next slokas in future classes. These verses are from the Viveka Chodamani by Shankara Bhagavad-pada. Virajya Vishayavratahu Doshadrishtya Muhurmuhu Swalakshe Niyatavastha Manasaha Samauchyate. Here, Sama is being described. Vishayavratat, all the objects of sensory perception, like the objects of touch, taste, smell, hearing, etc. Vratat means all the groups of those objects. Dosha drishtya, seeing the defect in them, that they are impermanent, produce pain after the pleasure, and these cannot be carried forward. Muhur muhuhu, time and again, always. Virajya, Raja is Raga. Virajya means be dispassionate about them. Non-attachment to the objects of the sensory organs. Swalakshye, or the very goal, the goal of Atmajnana. Manasaha niyatavastha, keeping the mind steadfast on the goal, not allowing it to chase the objects of enjoyment. Shamaha uchyate. This is proclaimed as Sama. Shama is the total restraint of all the mental activities pertaining to the objects, It is the steadfast effort to rest the mind or turn off the mind after having declined entry for the sensory inputs from manifold sense objects of the outside world and not permitting any unwarranted activity. In simple terms, this is the control of all the antahkaranas or inner functional faculties. This is also referred to as tranquility or calmness of mind or shama. Vishayebhyah paravartya स्थापनं स्वस्वगोलके उभयेषाम् इन्द्रियाणाम् सदमः परिकीर्तितः. Vishayebhyah, from the sense objects, paravartya, withdrawing from the sense objects, ubhayesham, the two types of indriyanam, the organs of motor and sensory activity, swaswagolake, within their respective spheres, sthapanam, to keep them in their respective spheres, saha, that one, damaha, damam, parikirtitaha, is proclaimed. We have a set of 5 sense organs and 5 motor organs. Here, what is advised is to restrain or control the 5 sense organs and motor organs, obtain mastery over the 5 sense organs and the 5 motor organs, and keep them in their proper respective higher spheres after withdrawing them from the mundane worldly objects. Where to engage these organs? These must be engaged in the Adhisthana Parabrahma, the pursuit of the path of liberation. This is called Dhamma. Bhyaanalambanam vrittir yeshoruparatirutama. Vrittehi, the antahkarana vritti, or the activity of the antahkarana, Bhya analambanam. Bhya means external objects. Analambanam, not taking hold of the external objects. Yesha, that one. Uttama, the higher one. Uparatihi, parati or shanti. See, we all know that our motor and sensory organs and mind always try to go outward. Here what is advised is to attain mastery over the mind and the indriyas and withdraw them from the outside objects in the world and people. These are powerful instruments and these should be turned inward towards the pursuit of liberation. This is called the antardrishti or inward pursuit. Uparati is self-withdrawal and actively turning inward, a state of inactively active state, like an atom, after all the inner organs are turned off and turning them inner towards the Atman for higher pursuits of life without mental craving for senses. And this is called the Uparati. Sahanam sarvaduhkanam apratikara purvakam chinta vilaparahitam satitiksha nigatyate. Sarvaduhkanam, whatever may be the situation, however adverse it may be, however painful it may be, sahanam, forbearance, the act of withstanding, boring, in spite of the gravity of the situation. Chinta vilaparahitam. Chinta is the anxiety, vilapam is crying for the situation and being extremely depressed. All this have to be done apratikara purvakam, in spite of the ability to teach a lesson or tackle the situation and physically handle the situation, to have the forbearance to get through the situation. Titiksha or forbearance is the ability to bear with all afflictions, duels, insults, without caring to redress or revolt for them, in spite of having the mental and physical capability to do so, being free from anxiety and lamentation on the afflictions received. Dharmaraja is the best example. शास्त्रस्य गुरुवाक्यस्य सत्यबुद्ध्यावधारणा सा श्रद्धा कथिता सद्भिर्यया वस्तुपलभ्यते. शास्त्रस्य on the scriptures, guruvakyasya on the instructions and upadesha received from the guru, satya buddhya accepting by firm judgment after careful verification and practice, avadharana decisively to do that, yaya by what, vastu the brahma vastu, upalabhyate will be able to attain to, sa that one, sadbhihi by very learned men, by mahatmas, shraddha as shraddha kathita it is proclaimed. So acceptance by firm judgment after practicing and verifying what is instructed by the guru and what is studied in the scriptures and understanding them as sat or truth is termed as shraddha or faith. This is not to be confused with blind belief. The whole mind must attain the perfect state of reliance on the truth of the instruction that is received. Then only the practice is possible towards Atma Jnana. We have already discussed this Shraddha is of 4 types. The faith on the Almighty, faith on the scriptures, faith on the Guru Vakya, and of course the faith on one's own self or Atma Bala. Samyagastapanam buddhehi शुद्धे ब्रह्मणि सर्वदा तत्समाधानं इत्युक्तं न तु चित्तस्य लालनं. शुद्धे in that very pure Brahmani on the Parabrahma, Sarvada ever always, Buddhe the intellect, Samyak perfectly, Astapanam to be kept, that one, Tat that, Samadhanam Samadhanamu iti so uktam is proclaimed. Kim tu but not chittasya for the sake of the mind, lalanam to take it around wherever it wants. Na, not that. It is not keeping the mind happy with pursuits other than those related to moksha or liberation. Always trying to keep the mind on the Parishuddha Brahma and the intellect ever is firmly established in the Brahman is Samadhana. The constant concentration of the intellect or the affirming facility in us on the ever pure Brahman is what is called Samadhana or self-settledness, not mere intelligence of thought for a while out of curiosity. It should be an everyday, every time effort and endeavor, not merely studying the scriptures to gain objective knowledge. It should give subjective experience. In this context, any pursuit other than the Brahman should be dejected and rejected. Such a state is called Samadhana. So in summary, the sadhana chatushtayam comprises of viveka, the discrimination of the real and the unreal, the vairagya, active renunciation of the fruits of actions, and aversion to sensual enjoyments and worldly attachments. Sama, etc., a set of 6 attributes. Sama is calmness, the restraint of the antahkaranas. Dama is self-control, restraining the external gateways and mastery over them. Uparati is inward withdrawal, the inactively active state. Titiksha is forbearance, the ability to withstand any situation in spite of the capability to revolt and then redress the situation. Dharmaraja example. Shraddha is faith and firm acceptance of the truth of the instructions received. Samadhana is self-settledness, identifying with the pursuits of the Brahman and rejecting the outward pursuits. Mumukshutvam is the intense yearning for liberation, longing for liberation. शब्दादिभिः पञ्चभिरेव पञ्चत्वमापुः स्वगुणैः निबद्धाः कुरंग मातंग पतंग मीन भृंगा नरः पंचभिरर्चितः किम् नरः पंचभिरर्चितः किम्. What to say of the man who is lured by all the five senses? The following five animals, each one is lured by one of the senses. The deer is lured by the sense of sound and gets caught. The elephant succumbs to its touch sensation. The moth embraces the fire, the vision, and perishes. The fish falls prey to the bite. The black bee is done to death by its attraction to the smell of the flowers. Lured and deceived by one and only one sense, these animals and insects get lost. Alas, what fate is in store for the man who has enough distractions by all the five senses, pulling in all five directions. Remember, all these five senses are very powerfully developed in human being. Shankaracharya wonders what will be the fate of the man who is lured by all the five senses. Again, emphasizing the importance of controlling all the five senses. So we all know that we have these three states, the Jagrat or the wakeful, the Swapna or the dreaming, and the Sushupti or the deep sleep state. These are called the Avasthatrayam, the three states. So look at Jagrat. In the Jagrat, we have the world, the Vishayas, the objects, and we have the sensory faculties functioning very well. We also react to the world with our motor faculties. Our mind, the thinking process is in full flow. And we have the intellect or the discriminating faculty also in full flow. The Atman, of course, is the witness of the Jagrat state also. This state is relatively long. For human beings, this is around 2/3 of the total 24 hours. The Swapna or the dreaming state, there is no world or Vishayas or objects. There is no sensory input either from the Indriyas, the Jnanendriyas. There is no motor activity of a substantial nature. There may be here and there random movements of the parts of the body. The mind and the thought process is of course very much there. It imagines so many scenes and sees the Swapna. The intellect or the discriminating faculty is totally at rest and is not functioning. Of course, the Atman or the Chaitanya is the ever-witnessing subject in Swapna too, just like in Jagrat. And we all feel that our dreams are very prolonged and protracted. But studies have shown that the dreams are ultra short, maybe a few minutes at the most. But they seem to be very long in our experience. And finally, we are discussing about the Sushupti state in this sloka. In the Sushupti state, there is no world, there are no people, there are no objects, there are no experiences, there is no sensory input from any one of the sensory organs of the five, and there are no motor actions either from the five motor organs. And the mind or thought process is totally at rest, and intellect buddhi is not at all taking any play. It is totally rested. But in that void, in that Sushupti state, where there is no world, no sensations, no motor actions, no mental activity, no intellectual activity, in that state of void also, Atishunyatmakatvat, beyond that voidness, there is the Atma Chaitanya, and that is ever overseeing the individual. So, as you can see from the chart here, the Atma Chaitanya is present throughout in the Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti as a witness in us, conducting all the functions of our life. The Sushupti state is of course around 6 hours or so depending on the duration of sleep. And we say the Atma is Turiya. Turiya means it is not the fourth. It is the one which is through all the three states. That Chaitanya, that Prakasha Shakti, that illuminating principle, that Sakshi Bhava, that witness consciousness principle, which oversees the Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti, is called the Turiya. This is very well explained in Mandukya Upanishad. The Atma is shining in all the three states. This is the basic understanding of the Avastha Trayam. न माता पिता वा न देवा न लोक न वेदा न यज्ञा न तीर्थं ब्रुवन्ति सुषुप्तौ निरस्ताति शून्यात्मकत्वात् तदेको वसिष्ठः शिवः केवलोऽहम् तदेको वसिष्ठः शिवः केवलोऽहम् शिवः केवलोऽहम् शिवः केवलोऽहम् शिवः केवलोऽहम्